Yo, what's up guys, it Ghost here, and today I'm taking a look at World War III. Initially, I wasn't sure whether to directly compare this game to Battlefield or not, but as you can obviously tell from the title, I kind of am, and for two main reasons. Firstly, it does share a lot of similarities with the iconic Conquest mode from the Battlefield series. In World War III, it's called Warzone though, but it functions much the same. You have to capture flags around the map, King of the Hill style, and keep hold of them. Then you can use ground vehicles too, like tanks and IFVs. But the second reason is because a lot of the similarities, at least when compared directly to Battlefield 2042, stop there. And honestly, I've been having a ton of fun playing this. It's like Battlefield if it went in a slightly more realistic direction. So the first major difference you're going to notice is the gunplay. It's quite tactical and slower paced in World War III. In fact, I would say it's more akin to that of Insurgency rather than a more arcadey title like Battlefield. And that's probably going to be something that will split the community down the middle somewhat. I know a lot of people prefer faster paced shooters, but so far I've been loving it. Guns feel like they really have impact, and getting kills is super satisfying. The leaning system in this game is awesome too, so instead of clumsily latching onto a wall by double-clicking ADS like in most shooters, here you can lean left or right by using the Q and E keys, like in Squad for example. It takes a bit of getting used to, but it makes cornering so much more interesting and tactical. Now, next I want to talk about my favourite system in this game, and that is the armor system. It's just genius. So as you guys will know, in most shooters, if you have armor equipped, you basically have extra health, right? You're gonna take an extra round or two to put down, think Call of Duty Warzone or Battlefield 2042. Well, not in World War III. In this game, your Kevlar and helmet will only protect you if you get shot in the torso or the head. If you aim at the neck area between them, you can actually completely ignore enemy armor. A great design decision that rewards skill there. Furthermore, wearing armor in World War III comes with a deficit. You move slower. The more armor and the heavier it is, the greater the movement penalty. Now, if you do happen to dink somebody on their helmet, it will fly off with a very satisfying sound effect, I might add, giving you feedback and the opportunity to headshot them. Additionally, if you shoot somebody in their body armor, you'll also get audio feedback there, so you know that they have armor equipped. The point scoring system in this game is very good too, giving you lots of feedback on how much damage you've dealt to an enemy and whether or not they have armor. Now, if you die, and you will die plenty if you're anything like I am, the game gives you tons of feedback on exactly where you got shot, how many rounds it took to kill you, and how much damage each round did. Honestly, it makes you wonder why games like Battlefield don't have these features. Talking of systems that Battlefield doesn't have, let's take a look at the squad spawn system. Take note, DICE, because this small indie developer is putting you guys to shame with theirs. So true, it doesn't have the fancy zoom in effect when you spawn like Battlefield's map does, but look at this. If you click on a squad mate, you can actually see where he is, what he's doing, and most importantly, whether or not it's safe to spawn there. Nothing fancy, super simple, but it just works. And honestly, after having spawned in countless times in 2042 with that huge cluttered map, this is just a breath of fresh air. Now, interestingly, there is a call-in system in this game where you can choose certain options, accrue points, and then call in a vehicle or an artillery strike, for example. This might rub some people the wrong way, but in my experience, this is actually where most of the vehicles I mentioned come from. So the vehicles you can spawn into on the maps are basically transports. If you want any bigger firepower like a tank, you're only going to find that by scoring enough points to call one in. Also, while we're on the topic of vehicles, that was probably my least favourite thing about the game. There's nothing wrong with the ground vehicles per se, and you do get gadgets like a repair tool, so you can jump out and keep your vehicle going, just like in, say, Battlefield. And honestly, I didn't spend very much time in the vehicles, but they just felt a little bare bones to me, a little too easy to use with not a lot of depth. There are also no air vehicles in this game, so if you're mainly a vehicle user from Battlefield looking for a similar experience, you likely won't find it here. However, for those of you who are primarily infantry players and, despise those pesky air vehicles farming you, maybe you'll find what you're looking for. As for the sound design, right now it's unfinished and all over the place, really. Firing the 25mm cannon on the Wolverine IFV or the 120mm cannon on the Leopard tank sound really loud and meaty, just how you'd expect them to sound in real life. But there are other sounds in the game that appear to be placeholder or just don't really meet that same quality standard. But this is a project still in early access, and those of you who will know the history of the game, which we'll get into in a minute, will know that it's pretty much been rebuilt from the ground up. Okay, let's talk about cosmetics for a second, because after the whole specialist debacle in Battlefield, I feel like this is exactly what players envisioned Battlefield customization being like. So you can customize every piece of clothing, your trousers, gloves, the emblem on your sleeve, whatever you like really. I've never cared too much for cosmetic customization anyway, but World War III's system seems very solid. So is World War III worth picking up and trying out? Well, at the moment it's on Steam for $15 and currently has a 15% discount. I wouldn't pay too much attention to the recent Steam ratings, which at the time of making this video sits at 62%. A quick skim through those negative reviews reveals to me that most of them are solely due to the fact that Farm 51 have their own launcher for the game, and not necessarily because the reviewer disliked the actual gameplay or ran into annoying mechanics or something like that, so as always, they can be somewhat misleading. That being said though, I would definitely do as much research as you can, go and read the Steam reviews yourself and make up your own mind. But for me, for the fun I've had with the game, I'd say it's been worth it. However, this is an early access title and therefore unfinished. And their plans for the future are to turn the game into a free-to-play title. So if you don't mind waiting a while, you can just pick it up for free next year and save your money. I'm assuming they'll compensate everybody who has spent money on the game already with a cosmetics pack or something. For those of you who are familiar with World War III's history, the game initially launched back in October 2018, 1 month before the release of Battlefield 5, and for the most part, the game was well received, but unfortunately, the developers released a patch that messed up the game, people couldn't matchmake properly or find the game, they didn't communicate with their player base, and sure enough, the player base moved on pretty quickly. Probably most of them to the newly released Battlefield 5. So what you had was this game that at its core had legs and a good amount of potential, but quite literally was a ghost town with nobody there to play it. So Farm 51 decided to take the game offline, and for the past couple of years, they've broken the game down and rebuilt it from the ground up. And like I said, they're going to try the free-to-play approach this time. I do hope this works out for them, as I've had a lot of fun with the game already, and indeed I think the only thing that could stop it from doing well is if it fails to gain a following and, more importantly, an active player base. But I really do commend Farm 51 for taking that failure, going back to the drawing board and changing the game, which is in many people's minds exactly what DICE should be doing with Battlefield 2042. But we all know that's not going to happen. Let me know down below if you decide to check out the game or if you're already playing it. Tell me what you think so far. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.